Excited also for what's coming up for the Summer League beginning next weekend against the in the Utah and the Salt Lake Summer League. The Philadelphia 76ers have fielded a team. They released their roster today. So, folks, we have a new segment we want to bring to you as we start off discussing the Summer League. And that is our Check the Resume Summer League.
Look at the graphics. Super producer Bree coming through.
She's the best with our friends from Indeed. And if you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. The Sixers are trying to find some more quality candidates fast by doing some hiring, and some of that hiring and putting them here through.
Some of you need to get a job. How about that?
This trial run here is through Summer League, and that's the Salt Lake Summer League and the Las Vegas Summer League. So, folks, we know how much you're looking forward to the Summer League getting underway for your team with Jared McCain and a few others. We have some names that we want to talk about individually as we get ready to head into Summer League next week. And looking at their roster, there's some pretty good names out there. And where do we begin first? Kyle, you want to start this one off with a name that you're focused on, maybe some hiring with Indeed.
Yeah, so the obvious name on the Summer League roster, and I'm really glad that he's actually going and presumably will participate, at least in Utah, maybe a game in Vegas, is friend of the program, Ricky Council.
Go get him, Rick!
Go get him, Rick. Look at another beautiful graphic.
Oh, man, I can't wait to see Ricky in this setting.
So
he wasn't good last season.
Yes. And part of my disappointment in last year's Summer League team came down to Ricky, that all the concerns we thought we had coming in, pretty glaring, wasn't able necessarily to leverage the athletic gifts that he had. And frankly, just looked like a guy that was worse than he was in college, where he was certainly not an unskilled player in college, right? Had a lot of traits that we really liked coming out. Didn't translate right away. I think one of the major benefits of the Summer League roster they have, which if you guys didn't see, both Derek and I tweeted it out today. I don't know if you did, Devon, so if you did, correct me if I'm wrong. But the benefit of the roster they have, there's a lot of experience, quite frankly, on this Summer League roster. And they have some decent spacing, but really just some guys who have learned how to play basketball at this point. And some of these teams that they assemble, it just ends up being a lot of undrafted, second-round pick, quad A type players. And so the guys you're excited for in Summer League end up in a bad environment and don't get to show their strengths. Well, I think Ricky is going to be able to show his strengths in the Summer League. He's also going to get some chances to show, hey, is the improvement that we saw in his three-point shooting on low volume, very low volume last year, is that for real? He's going to be one of him, McCain, and Bona will be the three most looked at guys on this team. How much is he able to initiate? How reliable is the catch and shoot jumper for him? Those are big questions. I'm looking to him to be a standout. I want to see him take control of this team, build off of the momentum we saw at times last season, and really start to make the case for regular rotation minutes, because I think if you just look at how the roster stands right now, maybe they get a Highsmith Martin type guy as a fifth starter, but there are opportunities on the wing. Somebody is going to have to step up, whether it's a minimum guy, whether it's Ricky, and take one of these other rotation spots. He's a great rebounder on the wing, which we love. I love seeing him go up with two hands. I brought that up earlier. That's one of my pet peeves, when guys go up with one. Goes up strong, plays through contact, great driver, gets to the free throw line. So I want to see a little bit of progress. I want to see the shot come. And I want to see him showing some leadership for those guys after what I thought was a productive first year as a two-way guy. I know it's on brand, but I'm really excited for Ricky. And I hope that the resume he keeps building in Vegas sets him up for a great Summer League, or not great Summer League, great preseason and hopefully regular season for the Sixers.
Can't wait to see what Ricky does with that setting. Been there before, didn't perform well. He thrives on trying to prove, of course, that he belongs. So having a much bigger role in that setting with everybody watching. I cannot wait to see what Ricky does there. He's been back here in Philadelphia working on this game with the coaching staff, with his brothers, and we know how important it was if you've seen our conversation with him in the past. I'm looking forward to see what Ricky does. I'll go with, as I check the resume here, of Romeo Langford. I saw someone mention it in the chat, and that was one of the first names that popped off of the list of players playing for the Philadelphia 76ers in both the Utah and Las Vegas Summer League. 5 years of experience, drafted by the Boston Celtics, came out of Indiana University, and he was a very, very highly talented high school player to land in Indiana. 14th overall in that 2019 draft, a part of the Boston Celtics. And when they drafted him, you're like, oh, they got another one that we look at here of why do they keep doing this and getting it right. It unfortunately did not work out for him there, eventually going to San Antonio. But he has played, as Kyle mentioned, there's a lot of experience on this roster and still room for a 6'5" guard on the 76ers roster. I don't know that it's going to be the Sixers roster right away. Maybe it's something just simply getting into a training camp invite, being a part of the G League and working his way towards
an Exhibit
the roster.
10 type deal. You could certainly see something like that.
But the intangibles, again, are there with the size, game experience, and a guy maybe with a chip on the shoulder of still trying to prove that he belongs. I remember talking to one of the kids, a local kid this year, when he came into town. He was on his first NBA contract from Philadelphia. I knew Isaiah Brockington when he was a young kid. I know his dad very well. And when Zay came in, and I talked to him before the game when the Pelicans played the Sixers, he was like, it was just about making sure that you understand that you have to find a role in the league. A lot of players don't realize that. They still think that they are the guy that they were in high school and in college, and they cannot accept that they now have to find a niche in the NBA and stay in the NBA. And we've seen players adjust to that. I remember when Lou Williams thought he should have been starting.
I mean, look, I'm used to having my own podcast. I got to come here and listen to this fucking guy talk for like 40 minutes and 50 minutes. It's an adjustment. I get it.
It is an adjustment. And sometimes I need to shut up. I guess that's what happens.
Oh, I was talking about that guy.
Yeah.
I talked for 4 hours.
I thought that was pretty clear.
Pretty nice. And I can get long-winded. But when talking to Zay, and going back to Lou Williams felt at some point he established himself as a starter. And then coaches started to tell him, hey, you can be one of the best 6 men in the league. He is now talked about as one of the best 6 men of all time with Jamal Crawford. He has 4 of them because of that and understanding and finding a role and a way into the league that way. So with Romeo Langford, again, they're always trying to do something. And if it's not with Philadelphia, maybe it's somebody else, but he does enough on the floor to show that he still belongs here in the NBA with some decent size. As a guard who can put the ball on the floor, maybe make some shots from beyond the three-point line, show that you belong by diving on the floor, defending really well, where you find your way back into an NBA roster. So with Romeo Langford, a name on this roster with the experience that Kyle talked about, and I'm sure Derek will as well, Romeo Langford popped off right away when I saw that list come across my email earlier with this basketball team. So when we look at it and checking the resume, I'm checking the resume of Romeo Langford with Indeed.
No, I mean, between him and Tony Bradley, they have like 300 games of NBA experience. Like Kyle's mentioning, this might be the most experienced Summer League roster we've ever seen. The guy I went with, we knew he was going to be there. They just drafted him. But who knows, maybe if he works hard and shows more than we expect, he can earn a promotion. And that would be Adem Bona. And part of that
I like the promotion with Indeed. I like that.
I was trying to work it in.
I like that.
Part of it is that he's a new draft pick. You just want to see what you have in him. Part of it is that I really want that sort of archetype of a big man, especially backing up Embiid, especially if you're going to rely on Drummond to be your primary backup. You want a little bit of diversity, especially defensively, and he has that. He can alter more shots at the rim. He can certainly switch more. I want to see whether or not he can translate that into NBA action maybe sooner than some people expect. Just the size, the athleticism, the physicality, the motor, switchability. I want to see all of it, and I want to see if it's closer to an NBA level than maybe we expected coming in. Am I expecting much? No. He was a 41st pick. Big men, they can sometimes impact the game quicker than their guard counterparts. Their roles and responsibilities are simplified compared to that of a point guard. But it is still a learning curve. You don't have your expectations set super high. But part of the reason that I'm focusing on him is because I know he's got the athletic tools. I know he's got the motor. So if he can figure everything else out on a quicker timeline, I think that would really help. Might not help this year in the playoffs, but it might be at least give you confidence going into the next season. This is sort of like the first chance he has to audition for being a long-term consideration, and I want to see what he's got.
Yeah, and with the Paul Reed situation being what it is, they basically need him to step up, or we might be talking at the deadline about I'm going to have to use some small assets, but assets to try to get a third big that you actually trust for a potential playoff run, a guy with a different skill set than Andre Drummond behind Joel.
Tough part with big men in Summer League is this is normally geared for guards. Even though they run offense and coaches want to set things up and run plays and do that stuff, the guards, man, they are really trying to lock in, and they are really, really trying to lock in on getting their shots up. It's almost like an all-star game and playing, and the guards are always the ones that control the game. So it's going to be tough for guys. That's why for him, and we'll get to another name, a familiar name that people are bringing up in the chat, and Derek already mentioned it, Tony Bradley, but they have to do their thing on the offensive glass, on the defensive glass, and also just hustle and block shots and things of that nature, because the guards are going to squeeze off some shots, and they have to get those boards.
Yeah,
so.
And Tony Bradley, as you bring him up, Devon, he will be helpful for somebody like Jared McCain, where going to set good screens. He'll be in the right places for him. And so while I'm dubious on McCain long-term as like a lead ball handler type, in this environment, he'll be set up well he's going to have a guy in Bona who that's a lob target. That's somebody you can throw over the top to. Bradley is a different sort of player, below the rim type finisher, but he's played long enough in the league, has a good enough understanding of NBA offenses that the pure competence that they should have at Summer League will be beyond most Summer League teams. And so I think that sets up McCain, Ricky, all these guys for more success than normal.
Yep. And with that, our Summer League, our Check the Resume Indeed segment there, again, brought to you by our good friends from Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast.
Thank you, Indeed.
We all silly like the mayor.